Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trae. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show. We've got a really fun one for you this week. We've got defensive back Marcus Gray on the program, and I've been wanting to have him on for a little while now because some of the stuff that he does off the field is super fun and really, really interesting. Not going to spoil it too much, but it's a slam dunk. I'll just say that, and that will make sense in about 20 minutes from now of this point of the interview. But big shout out to Marcus for joining the show and really talking about his journey both on the field, on the court, off the field, and everything in between. So he's living a very fascinating life, and he was able to touch on a little bit of it. So very, very cool that he was able to drop in. We'll also touch on some IFL updates, AF1 updates, as well as NAL updates. All three of those leagues are in their off seasons, and no shortage of things to talk about in each of those. So we'll dive into each of those after the interview as well. But before we do any of that, it's time for social plugs. That's right. If you don't already, please make sure you follow us on socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for checking it out. Please make sure you're liking the video and subscribing to the channel as well. We had a really good episode of the Turf Tapes with Gary Compton from the AF1 earlier this week. So go check that out on YouTube. It was a live stream of an old Milwaukee Mustangs game that Gary actually played in 1997. He was able to tell some stories about some of his teammates, break down some plays, talk shop about the AF1, and it was a really fun time. So go check that out if you haven't already. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you should also go check out the Turf Tapes on YouTube. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're rating the show on each of those platforms, 5 stars preferably. But hey, do your thing, and then share it with a friend that you might think would enjoy the show and enjoy arena football. So now that all that is done, here's the interview with Mr. Marcus Gray. All right, on the show this week, we have a defensive back who's played arena ball for quite a while now, and as well as plenty of other cool off-the-field stuff that we'll get into a little bit later. He was on the Omaha Beef and the Fishers Freight in 2025. It's Marcus Gray. Marcus, this has been a long time in the making, and I appreciate you making it happen and finding the time. How are things going in your world?
It's going great. It's been a fun, exciting year. A lot of things have been transpiring this year, but it's been great. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to say I'm continue to keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll dive right into it. Tell us a little bit about your football journey and how you got your start playing arena football, and what was your introduction to it?
Absolutely. So I actually have a good friend named Julian Walker. He played on the Fishers Freight team with me. He was the one that kind of introduced me to the arena football life. There was a team here in Indianapolis, it's one of the lower leagues. I believe it was the AAL, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. The Indianapolis Enforcers. I had a few games playing with them to get my feet wet and get an idea of how the arena game is. It was definitely eye-opening to see receivers kind of running in motion and just seeing different styles and seeing how fast the game's played. So that kind of sparked my interest. And then from there, I actually had an opportunity to go out in 2023 to play with the Omaha Beef, and that was my first time going to an arena training camp, and then my first experience, being, full-fledged into an arena season. And honestly, from there, it's been one of my favorite things to do, and it's something I love, and just want to keep playing.
Yeah, you've had quite a few stops along the way. You played in Topeka, Omaha, and then Fishers this past year. And I was combing through the Instagram, and you probably have one of the best jersey aesthetics career-wise in terms of it doesn't seem like it was an accident. Some of these teams that you were picking also have some really cool branding in jerseys. What was your favorite amongst the ones you played for?
That's a great question. I would probably say, and this is funny. It's funny because there's a story behind it. My favorite jersey so far was the pink Omaha Beef jersey. So we wore some breast cancer jerseys this season. We played against Sioux City Bandits, and I had a pretty good game, had an interception that game. But we had these pink jerseys, and those were my favorite by far, and I'm so upset that I didn't get to keep it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's one of the cool things about the Beef is they do a bunch of special jerseys like that. It's oh, that's really neat. But then they auction some off for charity and whatnot. It's no, I want that one in the closet.
Ricky does a good job of making sure we have different uniforms, especially with the Beef, making sure they're always taken care of and they have different nice styles to kind of go with and different combinations. So they're always doing a great thing over there.
Yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel with that color combination either. You know, like that chrome, orange, and black. Like, all right, say
Can't
less.
beat it.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Yeah. Well, sometimes defensive backs, they get a bad rep because they're not really interested, so to speak, in being physical and making plays. But you seem to be the exception to that in a world where a lot of folks are wanting to, you know, be the flashy interception return guy. You're not afraid to get in there and get physical and make tackles. What's your mentality? What's your approach to the game that kind of flips the script in that aspect?
Well, even since college, it's been one of my strong suits. I just love making plays, love making tackles. I'll go for interceptions, but I'd rather get into the mix and make more tackles. So when I actually joined Topeka, one of my buddies was like, "Hey, Marcus, this is what you do. You can probably lead the league in tackles." So I ended up playing 8 games at Topeka and ended up leading the league in tackles per game. I think the Nereus had more tackles total, but per game I had the most tackles. So that was something I definitely strived myself on. And then going back to this year with Omaha, it was the same scenario, just making sure that I can lead the league in tackles per game and just making sure people know that I'm not someone who's going to sit back and wait for someone else to make the play. I'm going to be the one, looking to make the tackle, looking to make the play, and trying to get off the field.
Yeah, you'll take the interceptions if they come your way, but the tackle, you're going out of your way to find them.
That's all me. That's all me.
Yeah,
that's all me.
Yeah, you can get lucky on an interception. It's no accident on a tackle. Yeah, you got to put yourself in that spot.
And no loafs.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about playing in Omaha. It's a really well-run franchise, and that's been around for such a long time. And like, what was your experience like playing there?
So this past year, I would say it was a great experience. Got to travel to a couple of different places, going down to, and actually, to be honest, it started off a little weary, but I wasn't too concerned. We lost our first game of the season playing the Minneapolis team, which they put a good team together. I'll give it to them.
I was going to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought it up.
Tip my hat to them. They put a team that could definitely compete in the NAL if they had that same team. But it started off a little rocky, but after that first game, we went down to Beaumont, not Beaumont, but we went down to Shreveport, played against them, and won our first game of the season, and that was a good start. And I would say my experience overall was really amazing, especially this year. It was a good group, a good set of teammates. The sponsors that we had, some of the helpers that we had just helping out, they just have a good culture and a good organization there in Omaha, and it shows. That's why they're always in the championship or winning the championship. So it's overall, it's a great program, great organization. Just from like making sure we're always fed. Ricky does a good job with that. Making sure that we can get treatment when we need it. We always have a good trainer on staff. So all around the board, I would say Omaha was, it was definitely an eye-opening, especially coming from, where I was at in Topeka, and the resources we had there is a night and day difference from Topeka and Omaha.
That's putting it very kindly, I would say. So again, this past season in Omaha, like really strong season, playmakers all up and down the field, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and making it all the way to that NAL title game. What was it like getting to work with that squad? Because it seemed like you guys were out there not playing around. Like headhunting is a little aggressive, but you guys were making some plays, throwing some hits out there.
We have a lot of talented guys. Shout out to Coach Loftus. He caught up some good plays, but I would say bigger shout out to the team, bigger shout out to the guys on the defense. A lot of talented guys that can easily be playing at higher levels, guys that can be playing in the IFL, and even higher levels than that. We have some playmakers on our team. I know like Trae, interception, ball hawk, whatever you want to call it. We can just count on him to make a big play. So just from him, the pass rushers like Jay Sean, like people who go out their way to make plays, make sacks, make it difficult for the quarterback all day. Just across the board, we just have a very solid defense. And to start the season, one of our goals was just to limit teams to under 30 points. And in arena, that's not too common. So
that's tough.
It was a tough goal, but we started off very hot, and teams had a hard time scoring on us. So shout out to the defense is sticking together, all being on the same page, and all bringing their own swagger and their own skill set to come together and make us one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, it was going into these games. You're always like, all right, it's going to be high scoring. But then this year it was like, oh, Omaha's playing. Nope. It's about to be a slugfest out there. This ain't going to be a 50-50 game. No.
It's not going to be easy. We didn't give up too many bombs. So usually if teams scored, they had to work the ball all the way down the field. We didn't give up too many bombs. So I really want to give a shout out to our team and the defense there, because it's an arena, you can score on one play. Just as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, mid-season, you guys had a head coaching change with the Beef, and usually in those situations, there's like an interim coach that steps in within the organization, but Coach Negron came in from out of the org mid-season and started steering the ship. What was that experience like from a player's perspective? Because it's like you signed on to play with one guy, but then another guy comes on. So like, was there like a getting to know the coach period? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, there was a little bit of uncertainty just because we started off 3-0, so we wasn't sure what was going on, and then wasn't sure what to really expect with this new coaching change and what the team was going to be like. But it was more about our personal attitudes and how we wanted to approach it and how we wanted to look at it. If you wanted to look at it as this is a bad thing happening, then you can have that approach, and you may not be ready for the next game coming up, or this is the situation I'm put in, and regardless, I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do while I'm out here. If you have that approach, then it can all work out. And it was a little bit of just a growing experience, just getting to know the coach and getting to know his style. But great guy. I have a lot of respect, a lot of love for Coach Negron. I think he's a great person. He also brought over some great guys from his team with the Cobras, like Tobias, a couple big name guys.
Oh yeah,
that was able to make some plays for us. So. Overall, I would say after the coaching change, I would say we had a stronger team. We had more talent and more guys overall. It was a little bit shaky, just a little bit just the uncertainty in general at the beginning. But once you lock in and realize what you're doing here and what the goal is and what your plan is, it's a lot easier to kind of just focus on what you need to. And from there we didn't really see any issues, and he was able to kind of mold in very nicely and. He, finished the rest of the season with us and was able to lead us all the way to the championship. So hats off to him, and hats off to Ricky for bringing him in and taking a leap of faith.
He was catching some heat when that happened. I was like, man, this is a bold decision, dude. But yeah, you like speaking to the talent of that roster though. It's like there's a very high floor with the talent on that roster in terms of like at minimum what this team can put out. So yeah, the team definitely, you saw, especially on the offensive side of the ball, you saw it mold and grow throughout the year. And towards the end, it was like, okay, this is looking like Beef teams of the past.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned that the Minneapolis game. I was going to bring it up. Wasn't sure how, but I was going to bring it up.
It happened. It happened.
Yeah. So. I gotta say, like, I wasn't watching the game initially, but I was seeing the score updates on Twitter, and I was like, what's happening? And I checked in, and I was like, wow, this is one of the wilder games, one of the wilder endings I've seen. Did that game ultimately bring you guys like closer together right before the season? Be like, all right, guys, let's lock in, let's do this.
I would say it gave us more of a clear focus on who we are and what our identity was, and what our plan was going forward. That was kind of we was kind of looking at it as a tune-up game for us and kind of seeing who we're going to have where. And obviously we have they had Tommy last year, so we're going to have a new quarterback this year, so we're still trying to figure that out. So I know that first game was kind of a fill-out game, but after that first game, we knew we had a great idea of what our identity was and knew how to move forward. I think at the beginning, the quarterback situation, not to throw anybody on the bus, that was definitely something we wasn't expecting. I know our starting quarterback at the time kind of mid-game just disappeared.
Okay.
So there's more things that went to it, but
I believe it. Yeah,
our offense that day just had a little bit had some struggles, but overall it was just they came more prepared to play than we did, and they end up on the winning side of it.
Yeah, I think that was their last game. They rode off into the sunset after that. It's like, all right, we're never going to hear from him again.
No, but to go back to that, they put a good team together.
Yeah.
Just speaking on their team alone, like the linemen they had, I don't think I've seen linemen that size the rest of the year in the NAL. So
right.
they had some big guys.
They were sneaky there, but
so hats off to that team.
For sure, yeah. But despite that, still a strong season. But you ended up finishing the 2025 indoor season with the Fishers Freight. I see you rocking the Fishers shirt there, helping them piece together a nice little win streak to end the year. How did that opportunity come about, and what that conversation look like?
Yeah, so I knew a couple guys that I played with. Obviously, Julian Walker was one. Right. AJ, he played on the Omaha. That was my roommate at the time in 2023, so I've known him. Okay. Tamar knew him, and then G, he got added to the team when I got back to Indianapolis. So I knew a couple guys already on the team, and then obviously Cam Hunt, he was on my team in Omaha, and he was on the Fishers team as well. So I'm following the season. So once Fishers took off, I knew about the team. I knew that's something I definitely wanted to be a part of. Had to start my season over in Omaha just to kind of get things going again, but I always kept heavy tabs on what Fishers was doing. So it started off extremely hot, 2-0. So everything's going great, and then they did hit a rough patch where they lost 9 games in a row, which is tough. That's very tough. But the blessing of it was we had just lost the championship game with Omaha going against Beaumont, and that was hard to deal with. But the blessing was I got to do a finals game with the Pacers, the game 6, which is the last one we won. So that was a cool experience. And then that weekend, I got to be front row and actually watch my first Fishers Freight game. And it just so happened to be the game where G Sloan caught the touchdown Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Buzzer beater,
buzzer beater on Pat McAfee show. And I'm sitting there watching that live, and it was just like, what a way to win their first, get back into the groove. And then from that point, I felt the energy in the arena. It was so electric, and I knew in that moment that this team is going to be good, and they're going to continue to win. Yeah. I just sensed it. I just had that feeling, and I was able to talk to the coaches after the game, and they actually had a DB go down that same game, and that kind of transpired to me getting brought onto their team, and that's kind of how that next step in the process where I ended up joining the Fishers Freight team kind of took place.
Yeah, man, it makes sense. You're already local to the area, so it's not like you're having to travel across the country to get there. Mm-mm. So you were literally already there, and I remember that game. Remember watching that game live, and I was like, I can't believe this just happened. Fishers was one of those teams where it's like, man, on paper they have such a good squad. They were just underperforming in every way possible, and then when they got hot, they got hot.
Oh, the team's loaded. If we could bring the same team back, it's dangerous. Yeah. It's just we got Felix. He was amazing. He came here, immediate improvement. Got some great receivers coming in. Our DBs were good across the board. AJ, I'm really proud of him. That's like my little brother. I'm proud of him. He really turned it up at the end of the season. And I was trying to stay on him like, hey man, it's time for you to show who you are. And he turns up at the end of the season, had a 3 interception game. And then the first game that I had played with the Freight at home, we're playing against San Diego, and he gets a pick 6 all the way from the end zone.
Yeah.
So that definitely set the tone for us and put us back on the map as far as the DBs, getting touchdowns and getting interceptions. But that was his 4th in 2 or 3 games. And then in practice, we had one practice that week, and I just had a sense that I was getting close to getting the ball, and I ended up getting an interception in that practice before the last game. And another one of my teammates, JT, he was saying hey, I think this is the week you're going to get one. And next, long story short, the right place, right time, and ended up making an interception into a pick 6, and I had a great moment to kind of help us secure our most points ever For our first
Yeah,
year
that
of our
was
franchise, the most points we ever scored. So
that was the Iowa
it's
game, right? Where you guys scored like
yep,
80 or something. Yeah.
80 points. So it was cool to be able to contribute to that. So that's
Yeah.
cool being a part of that record-setting night.
Yeah. Six of those are me. 6 of those are I
I'll
did
take
that.
them.
I did
I'll take them.
yeah. Well, yeah, a great end to the season for Fishers. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing how Fishers continues to build on that and going forward. And like you said, that atmosphere looks electric, and it seems like they kind of are setting the standard for what a home game experience is going to be like over there. So I'm really excited to see them continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Well, you mentioned the Pacers, and so one of the things that inspires me to make this show and to keep this thing going is learning about players' lives off the field. And I got to say, your off the field life is an all timer, absolute all timer. You're a member of the Indiana Pacers Power Pack Dunk Team.
Yes, sir.
You founded your own independent dunk team in the Indy Dunkers.
Yes, sir.
And then you played professional slam ball.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that you're living every 11-year-old boy's dream right now?
Yes, sir. I'm just, it's crazy when I actually think about like, damn, and this all happened in the past 2 or 3 years. Like this all this stuff transpired very recently, but it's just crazy to think all this happened so recently and all the places I've been. And I'm just like, I honestly can't believe it. I just hope we can continue to keep going.
Yeah. If you're like, what do you want to do when you grow up, to a random kid, he's like, I want to dunk basketballs. Like, you're doing it. So how did that come about? Like, what was the first thing amongst that kind of introduced you to that world?
So just in general, like just when I was in college, I was always big on like doing flips, especially like back flips. Big on doing flips. And then over the summers, I would really work on my vertical so I can work on like just dunking, just in general. So basketball games, I could dunk, but I wanted to do an in-game dunk. So I finally started doing that in 2021, like my first in-game dunk.
Yeah.
And then 2022, one of my best friends, Samson, he was the MC for the Fever, the Indiana Fever. And this is before Caitlin Clark was here, before Leah Boston. So this is like when there was maybe 25 to 40 people that would come to the games.
Yeah.
You would get a ticket and then you're automatically front row. That's how the Fever games used to be. And it's crazy they're sold out now. But he was the MC and he was super cool with the operations, and he ended up finding like the inside scoop about this tryout, and he thought I would be the perfect fit for it. Went to the tryout, met Boomer, the mascot, was able to figure out how to jump with the trampoline. I thought it was going to be easy. Was not easy at all. Could not do a flip. Couldn't do anything out of the ordinary. Was able to do some basic dunks, and Boomer, he was like, you have enough potential to where you could be, really good at this. And he ended up teaching me how to do flips and all these extra passes and extra dunks. And, a couple years into it, I ended up being, our whole team, we got selected to be in the NBA All-Stars. And this is my first one. So the Power Pack, they've been killing for a while. So they've been in multiple All-Stars. They've been traveling overseas. They do something crazy every year. So my second year into it, being a part of All-Stars it's like I'm doing I did halftime of the NBA game, of the All-Star game, but we're doing the Rising Stars Challenge. We're doing between the dunk challenge, like we're doing all these like different events. So that was my first experience with that, and then from there was able to travel to Puerto Rico. Got to our Power Pack, our dunk team, went with the Pacers, the organization, all the staff, the execs, people who sit front row courtside. We all went to Paris and spent 7 days out in Paris for the NBA Paris games when they played against the Spurs. So that was a cool experience, just being in another country on the Pacers dime. And we really got to explore and just see how different culture and life is. And that was my first time out of the country. So that was an eye-opening experience I never would have, probably done if I wasn't on the Pacers. And then we get back from there in February, and then we're selected for the All-Stars again. So this is now my second All-Stars, and we just went to San Francisco where we're out there with Steph Curry and all like LeBron. We see little Kevin Hart. He's going crazy, but we're getting to meet all these people, and it's just like really just a blessing and a great experience. And I just got to thank God for all these opportunities and all the doors he's been opening.
Yeah, it's one of those moments you got to take a step back in the moment and be like, how did I get here? Like 24 months ago, I wasn't even doing this. Now I'm doing trampoline dunks in Paris. like
But
what is happening?
then, and it's funny because they'll see me like at the Pacers games, and then like they'll see me like looking kind of swole. They're like, what does he do? What does he do?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
is he so strong? Why does he look so strong? I get
yeah.
that. And then this year in Omaha, we have one guy on our team, Mac. He was giving out nicknames, and my nickname is SLAMBALL.
Okay. That
that
makes
was
sense. It checks
that
out.
was the nickname. That was the nickname for me. So it's just funny how, you know, and when I'm in one sport, it's always like something relating to the other, and then and
Yeah.
vice versa.
Well, how did the Indie Dunkers come about? It seems like it's like a spin-off of what you're doing with the Pacers Power Pack, but just a little bit more independent.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool because I was able to pick up everything I've learned from our manager, Jamie, and kind of put my own twist into it and kind of put my own colors into it. So that came about when we did a dunk show for this high school down in New Albany. And I'm from Jeffersonville, Indiana. So those are our rivals. And this is the
Okay.
Pacers team. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. I didn't know we can even travel and go do shows down here. So we go down to New Albany and have a show. Everybody comes back, and it's cool, but it's just not the same because it's not my school. And I was, not to say I was a big deal, but I was like the homecoming king. Like I played 3 sports in high school, so like a lot of people knew me in high school. But I was talking to the manager, and I wanted to book a show in my high school, and there was just like some issues being able to get that done. And one way I wanted to be able to kind of book our own shows. And I know there's new rules with the Pacers to where with the Power Pack we can only go so far for certain dunk shows now. Like we have to stay within like a certain vicinity. So to be able to do a dunk show at my own high school, I had to create this own dunk team.
Wow.
And it's essentially the same guys from the Pacers, but it's just a different name. And that's the kind of loophole to kind of be able to dunk where we want to dunk and kind of navigate and, you know, kind of control where we perform. And the blessing of doing that is being able to set up a contract with the State Fair where we're doing 30 plus shows, you know, each summer at the State Fair, which is unreal.
It's pretty nuts. And I've seen some of the I think you were making videos with the meta glasses where like it was like the point of view of the dunking. Those are pretty crazy. And you're wearing them right now. Yeah. So like it's been like go to his socials. It's linked in the bio here below or in the description below. Check out those point of view dunking things. It was a little nauseating, but it's pretty awesome to see because it's like I always wondered what it looked like.
I wore these at the NBA All-Stars this year.
Yeah.
And it's cool because I got to see like all these celebrities up close. I even said something to like Drewski's at the other end. And I was just like, I'm about to do something nice. Like he's like, all right. So like it's cool because all these celebrities are down there. You can see like LeBron, you can see like all of them are like courtside or on the court, around the court. And we're just the center of attention for like a brief moment, which is
right.
It's
what a world.
Something I can't even explain.
Yeah. What a world, man. They're in the audience for you. That's just crazy.
Like we're the show.
Yeah. What's the future look like for the Indie Dunkers? What do you hope to see that grow into going into 2026?
Yeah, heading into next year, I would say the main goal is to kind of branch off into a bigger platform. So I know we're with the Indiana State Fair now. Potentially, I want to get with the Kentucky State Fair and another state fair. If I can get into multiple entities like that, that would definitely, you know, increase our brand recognition and definitely help us grow. And then I want to get some more guys coming out to dunk with us. I want people to feel more comfortable with trying this different type of sport, this different avenue. And it's funny because I've had teammates on Omaha and on Fishers that's like, hey, I could jump, I could do that. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on down to
Indianapolis. Let's prove
it. Let's see. So in 26, if I could get a few more guys to come out and dunk with us, I think that would be great. And then just maybe book some more shows that's out of state. I think that's another big goal of mine that I definitely want to accomplish in this next upcoming year. But we already have the State Fair coming up, and I already know it's going to be, you know, a lot to kind of take in all at once. And then right after the football season is kind of
right.
it's just, and
You're
another
booked.
thing about this year is just the way like the schedule just fell in line, and just from like the Pacers to going out to All Stars to going to Omaha and then coming back here and then being with the Pacers again and then being with the Freight and then going to the Indy Dunkers. It's just been it's just been keeping my schedule booked, but I wouldn't want it any other way. So
yeah, it's really cool to see it all go down. And we haven't even talked about SLAMBALL yet, and that's the crazy thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like how did that come about, and like what was the introductory conversation to get involved with that?
Yeah, so doors open at crazy times, and it's crazy how the world works. SLAMBALL transpired, and that popped up out of the blue. Like no one had any idea this was going on. This was going to happen. This is completely random, out of the blue. So I was getting finished up with the Topeka Tropics. I was still with them. I was probably about 2 games away from finishing the season, and I received like the first notification, like, "Hey, I think there's going to be a SLAMBALL going on," and I didn't know really anything about it. I didn't even know how to get involved, but the cool thing is I started with the Pacers right before that season with the Tropics. So I knew a couple good guys within the Duncan community. And one of my teammates, Nate, he knew a guy that was a part of the ones who was actually recruiting for the SLAMBALL players. And long story short, he was able to get me alongside with him an invite to go out to like the tryout, to be like, it's like they have like a week training camp. Before they pick they draft them to see who's on which team. So the Pacers is the reason why that door even opened. So if I didn't start with the Pacers, I don't think that door would ever open. And then on top of that, I needed that experience with the Pacers to be ready for SLAMBALL. So the biggest thing when I got to SLAMBALL was there was a lot of basketball players, so a lot of guys who played overseas, a lot of tall guys, 6'6", 6'7". These are basketball players. A few football guys that's played in a couple different arena leagues. And then maybe a couple just bigger guys and just different type of built players, I would say.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was the basketball players couldn't really figure out how to use the trampolines. So when we're first getting started, like you can tell they're having troubles just like jumping from trampoline to trampoline. And mind you have to put a lot of energy and a lot of force into these trampolines just to be able to dunk.
Yeah.
So it's a very tiring sport. I would say SLAMBALL is probably the most tiring sport I've played. Like more than basketball, more than football, more than like SLAMBALL is the most tiring sport I've played. You can do one down and back and be breathing super heavy.
Yeah.
But I would say the Pacers is the reason why that door opened up, and one thing led to another, and I would say the timing of everything kind of worked out perfectly. As soon as the season finished with the Topeka Tropics, and that season wasn't what we wanted, so I was definitely not in the best mood. But another door opened up right when I got back from Indianapolis, saying, "Hey, would you like to come out to Vegas? Would that make things better?" So
I think so. Yeah.
So absolutely. So I went out there to Vegas, and we was out there for about 2.5 months. So I got to live in Las Vegas. My first time being out there. Never got adjusted to the heat. It's
no.
I can't do the dry heat. It's not me. But
no.
The Vegas nightlife, the Vegas experience was amazing. So it was perfect timing, and it was cool because when I came out there, I did a quick audition to see if I would be good enough, because I was one of the last guys to come out there with another guy named Fess, and they pretty much did a few tests on us to see if we're going to be good enough to be on a team or they was going to send us home. So we did a quick little tryout, and then after our second or third day, they just threw us on random teams because there were so many injuries. Mind you, this is like football on steroids.
Yeah,
with the trampoline. So there's injuries like left and right. People are getting hurt across the board. So they threw us on the team within our third day, and that's when I was able to be number 6 on the ozone and got to be a starter on a SLAMBALL team, and now I'm on ESPN3.
Yeah. So what a world. What a world. Who like would you have ever imagined playing slam ball, playing high
No,
school football, going to play college football? Like it's
absolutely
incredible
not.
how life works like that, right?
Absolutely not. Never even thought about jumping on the trampoline until I went to like
Yeah.
a Pacers game, and then I'm just like, I think I could do that, but never
Yeah.
thought about it. Never even seen it back where I'm from. Never seen anybody really jump on trampolines like that where we're from. So
Right.
I'd never seen it until I got to Indianapolis. So I never would have thought of it.
Yeah, well, you are a must follow on social media. I don't give that title out often, but you've earned it.
Appreciate it.
Seeing
Appreciate
you
you.
every day doing your stuff, I'm like, this guy's incredible. So everyone go follow Marcus. Go follow the Indie Dunkers. Their
Thank you so
socials
much.
are in the description. So just scroll down just a little bit, click on it, go tell Marcus and the Indie Dunkers you said hey. One last question for you before we get you out of here. Appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
What's next in 2026 for Marcus Gray? You picking up any other cool sports or any other cool hobbies we don't know about yet?
No, I think the field's set. It's just
Yeah,
elevating
you're
what I
all good.
already have going on. It's just elevating what I have going on. I think everything is
Yeah.
set exactly how I need it to be now, to where I can keep pushing everything that I need to. But no, I think just elevating and having an even better year than I did this year, which is going to be hard to do, but that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been awesome to see it all transpire over the past year, and I know it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So, yeah, appreciate you taking the time, man. We'll stay in touch, and best of luck going forward with everything.
Absolutely, and let me know. We can come out there and do a show too. So
okay.
Let me know.
All right. I'll clear out the driveway. I'll get a personal show.
We can make it happen. No, appreciate you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Big shout out again to Marcus for joining the show and talking shop about his playing career and what he's been able to do with the Indiana Pacers, what he's been able to do with the Indie Dunkers, which we got here. Go give them a follow on Instagram. Indie Dunkers and his career in slam ball. It's just, man, I said it in the interview, but he's like living every 11-year-old's dream, doing all those things. Like you ask an 11-year-old what they want to do when they grow up, they want to play football and slam dunk and and do stunts, and that's what he's doing. And it's a really cool lane. It's really inspiring to see that, hey, if you want to do something, you can, like, put your mind to it and get to work. So it's really cool to follow. And I do mean it when I said he is a must follow. You got to follow him. You got to follow the Indie Dunkers because they do some really, really cool stuff there. So big shout out again to Marcus for joining the show. So we're going to dive right into the IFL. We got some personnel updates throughout the IFL to touch on. First one is Billy Back. He was the Tucson Sugar Skulls head coach. He was announced as out as the Tucson head coach, and then very quickly, seemed like it was like 24 hours later, he was announced as the offensive coordinator in Tulsa for the Tulsa Oilers. So Tucson didn't really have a great stretch of a couple seasons under Coach Back, but he has the prowess on the offensive side of the ball to be able to be a difference maker. And I feel like we're going to see a similar situation in Tulsa that we saw last year, where Marvin Jones, head coach, has that defense on lock, and they bring in a former head coach with plenty of offensive experience in Billy Back to kind of lead the offense there. So expect a lot of turnover on the offensive side of the ball as Coach Back brings in some of his guys for his scheme and do what they need to do to make that Tulsa offense really, really go and really propel even more than last year. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens with some of the personnel. But Tucson has a head coach opening that I would imagine they're probably in the final stages of figuring out, and they'll have to get it figured out soon, as free agency will be starting here very, very soon in the IFL. But yeah, Billy Back is out in Tucson, in at Tulsa, and I don't think we'll see very many other dominoes fall in terms of head coaches in the IFL. It seems like if it would have happened, it would have happened already, with Andre Coles going to Iowa, Jonathan Bain getting named the San Antonio head coach, and then Billy Back going over to Tulsa as the OC. So feels like whoever gets named the Tucson Sugar Skulls head coach might be the final domino coaching wise that falls into place. But we'll have to wait and see. And maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's already been announced and it's on socials. Maybe. I don't know. But the next thing we're going to talk about is in Jacksonville, Duval County. Jacksonville Sharks announced that they're bringing back Jimmie Robinson. Jimmie Robinson, all IFL running back for the Massachusetts Pirates in 2023 and 2024. Just an unbelievable talent on offense. He got injured early in the season for the Sharks and missed almost the entire season. Oddly enough, he got injured in Tucson, who we just talked about. But Jimmie Robinson is from Florida. I believe he's from the Daytona Beach area, so about an hour and a half from Jacksonville. So it makes sense for him to come back home and for him to be able to sign with Jacksonville and be that much closer to family and have his family come up to games a lot more frequently than they were able to when he was playing in Massachusetts. So really good start to the offense for Jacksonville. They're bringing back a few other key pieces as well from last year, and we'll have to see how that continues to evolve from here. But getting Jimmie Robinson and a healthy Jimmie Robinson at that is a really good start for the Sharks as they can look to build off of their first playoff berth in the IFL in 2025, heading into 2026. But staying in the Eastern Conference, we've also got the Fishers Freight. They're bringing back a bunch of their pieces as well. We got AJ Jackson at DB, friend of the program. We got wide receiver Journey Sloan coming back, and we got a bunch of folks from last year's Fishers team have re-upped, and they seem to be wanting to run it back, and it makes sense. They finished the season on a 5-game win streak, all the momentum in the world, and it seems like they're going to be a popular dark horse pick, depending on how some of these other moves are yet to be announced will fall into place. But it seems like Fishers off the field has been a ideal franchise for the IFL. It's just a matter of getting the on the field product to the level that they think it can be. And like I said, those last 5 games are any indication of that. This team could be dangerous with the right pieces coming back and being put into play. So I'm excited to kind of see what that looks like moving forward. And do we see more pieces? Do we see potentially Marcus Gray coming back and playing defensive back for Fishers? It would make sense. Fishers is basically a suburb, for lack of a better term, of Indianapolis, and Indiana Pacers, Fishers Freight. Keep it pretty local there, and it seems to make sense. But Fishers is going to be a very fun team, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the pieces of this puzzle that they're putting together ends up looking like. But we're going to wrap up the IFL updates. We're going to go out to Bay Area over in San Jose, California. They're bringing back several starters as well. Wide receiver Trayvon Alexander, linebacker Wesley Bowers, and then defensive back Tyrese Wright. I felt like Tyrese Wright should have been the defensive rookie of the year in the IFL, just based off of how he was able to come in and perform at a really high level and make his mark on a very talented Bay Area secondary. Trayvon Alexander was a big-bodied wide receiver who made plays all over the field. Wesley Bowers was a monster, racking up tackles and getting to the quarterback and applying pressure seemingly every other play. So it's a good start for Bay Area as they continue to build, and more is to come from Bay Area, whether they bring back some of the players from last year, whether they continue to find some diamonds in the rough like they're known to do. Bay Area is probably going to be a pretty good team next year as well. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But jumping over to the AF1 now, we got some AF1 updates. And oddly enough, speaking of Bay Area, Trae Meadows, defensive back, is back in Nashville for the 2026 season. He just signed with the Cats. He spent 2024 in Nashville in the AFL, then went back to Bay Area in 2025 in the IFL, and now he's back in Nashville in 2026. So he seems to be bouncing between San Jose and Nashville frequently here. And that defensive unit for Nashville was pretty good last year. And Trae Meadows is going to be a great piece for that. He was a real ball hawk for that Bay Area secondary, and I'm not afraid to initiate some contact either. So he's going to be a good piece for them to continue to build around in 2026. And if history is any indication, he might be back in Bay Area in 2027. Who knows? We'll see how that works out. But moving on to Beaumont, the Beaumont Renegades, they continue to reload from their 2025 championship roster, this time bringing in J.D. Griggs on the defensive line and then offensive lineman Jake Oliphant, one of my favorite names, Jake Oliphant. Re-signed with the team, and they're going to be running it back. So they're bringing back a ton of pieces from that 2025 team that won the NAL championship. And the biggest question for the Beaumont Renegades heading into 2026 is going to be, okay, you're bringing back some of that core from that in the championship season last year, but it's a different brand of football. NAL plays much more indoor football rules, despite arena being in the NAL name. And AF1 plays that traditional arena football rule set with like the jack linebacker and the one-man emotion instead of two. So will they be able to adjust and be as impactful as they were last year in 2026? Feels like they will be able to. Their head coach Corey Mayfield played in the original AFL in the 2000s and was a beast on that offensive and defensive line. So he's got that experience firsthand and should be able to get them on the straight and narrow and get them into being a competitor from day one. And some of the just dudes that they're bringing back is going to be a good sign, especially with it not being Iron Man and just being free substitution across the board. They got some really talented players that they're bringing back with Carl Robinson at quarterback, and we'll just have to see how they can adapt to that different style and if some of the same formula that they used in 2025 will be able to work in the AF1 in 2026. But speaking of what worked in the AF1, Albany has re-signed Robert McCoy Jr. at quarterback, and they also signed defensive back Alfonso Taylor. So McCoy was from the 2025 Firebirds team, backed up Sam Casanova, got some playing time primarily in the blowout games against Corpus Christi a couple times last year. And Taylor comes over from the 2025 Tucson Sugar Skulls team from the IFL. Now, Alfonso Taylor is a really talented player who can play both sides of the ball, both wide receiver and defensive back. He's able to be a big-time playmaker, and if Coach Damon Ware can utilize him the right way on offense, he can be a very impactful player, and we could be getting used to the combo of McCoy and Taylor, hearing that often throughout the season. So we'll have to see, do they stick with him at wide receiver? Do they stick with him at DB? Do we get a little bit of both? Is it a Travis Hunter situation? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that all that shakes out and what the rest of the roster is going to be looking like for the Firebirds. But they're another one that's bringing back a lot of talent from last year's team, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. The O-line is 2/3 of that O-line is already back, and by the time this comes out, even more of that O-line and D-line might be signed and announced. So Albany's looking to reload. They're off to a really good start, and once the opening pistol of free agency is fired into the air, I'm sure we'll be hearing Albany making some big splash signings from some other players in the AF1 that were really impactful in 2025, because that's what they seem to do. They take the best players from the league, sign them, and then go on and dominate. That's what they did last year. I would expect more of the same. But that full free agency goes into effect at 11:59 p.m. on September 15th. That is next Monday night at 11:59 p.m. as Gary Compton said on the Turf Tapes earlier this week. So expect some big shakeups of rosters, and could expect some potential big names crossing the league threshold. So I would expect to see some big names in the IFL going over to the AF1 and potentially seeing some of that and vice versa as well. So with the variety of different arena leagues that are out there between TAL, NAL, IFL, AF1, just to name a couple of them, it seems like players are jumping ship between leagues, and there's lots of opportunities for players to collect film and try to get back outside to the outdoor game. So it's going to be very exciting over the next 7 days from the time you're listening to this. We're just going to see a flurry of announcements across all leagues, and it's going to be very exciting. So make sure you're following us on socials to stay up to date. So we're going to touch on some NAL updates now. It's been floating out there for a little bit, but I figured I'd just kind of address it head on. I'm not sure if I touched on it on a stream or on past episodes, but sources familiar with the situation have reached out to me directly and confirmed that the Salina Liberty will be jumping ship from the AF1 to the NAL for 2026. Hasn't been explicitly stated yet, but Salina did release a statement saying how they were committed to indoor football, as the World of Football guys alluded to on their most recent episode. So go check that out. They talked about this a little bit. But it seems like the travel costs really caught up to them and were just something that was just too much to bear. Salina having to go to Albany, Salina having to go to Oregon or Washington. It's just brutal travel for such an operation that is the size of an arena football team, if we're just being honest. And especially in a market the size of Salina, they make a lot more sense in the NAL. And this is going to be a very good thing for them, very good thing for the NAL. And in the long run, a very good thing for the AF1. It's one of those rare situations where every party wins. It's a good thing for Salina because they have a lot more closer opponents where a lot more busable games. And it's going to be easier for them to get to Omaha. It's going to be easier for them to get to Sioux City. Like, it's going to be easier for them to get to a lot of these different games, and not going to have to do a 14-hour bus ride to Corpus Christi back-to-back weeks. Not going to have to do a bus ride to this airport to fly to New York to take another bus to all. Like, they're not going to have to deal with all that stuff. So it's going to be a really good thing for the pockets of Salina, and really good thing for the NAL. NAL is getting a very competitive team and a fantastic head coach and Coach Heron O'Neill, a Hall of Famer in the IFL as a coach, and did a really good job of adapting to the AF1 arena football rules over the past couple of seasons. So he gets to go back to what he knows, that indoor football style, and I expect Salina to be a contender right from the jump. They're going to be very, very good in the NAL, and we're going to get some matchups that are going to be very exciting. Hopefully we'll see a Salina versus Omaha a couple times. Hopefully we'll see a Salina versus Sioux City. But I think the biggest question right now, does Southwest Kansas join them? You would feel like they would, just because having Salina as a regional dance partner makes sense for them, because travel out of Dodge City, Kansas isn't a picnic either. It's just not. It's something where Southwest Kansas in particular, they can get over to Denver to face the Colorado Spartans. They can get over to Pueblo to face the Pueblo Punishers. They can get over to Salina to face the Salina Liberty, all on a bus trip. So they won't have to fly out across the country, very similar to what Salina is doing. So I would imagine Southwest Kansas is doing the same thing. It remains to be seen if that is true or if that's going to happen. But it makes sense on paper. So we'll see how that shakes out. But schedule should be coming out mid-September, which means all of the league alignment and all this stuff should be getting announced very, very soon. Hopefully by the end of this week, probably beginning of next week is when we'll start to see some of those answers and start to see some of this dust start to settle on league realignment and expansion and all that stuff. So big news for the NAL, and it should be a really good thing for the league moving forward as they continue to grow and look to be able to finish the year with the same teams that they started with, which is something that several owners within the league have stated on different podcasts that will happen, and hopefully it does, because we want to see all these leagues succeed, and the more leagues that there are at a high level, such as NAL, IFL, AF1, that's more opportunities for players, more opportunities for coaches, more opportunities for commentators, off the field folks to really develop their careers and grow within the sports industry. So it's an exciting time, and wishing for the best for Salina, wishing the best for Southwest Kansas if they end up joining them as well. And it should be a good thing for all parties involved. Last thing we're going to touch on is TAL, the Arena League. Couple updates from there. I don't think we touched on this in a recent episode, but the Hot Springs Wise Guys, they rebranded to the Arkansas Diamonds, which I get why they did it. It felt like the Wise Guys was a very TAL brand. It felt very on par with, the Harbor Monsters, the Iowa Woo. Like, it was wacky enough to embrace the spirit of minor league sports, but also paid homage to a little bit of the history of Hot Springs. But I understand the change to being Arkansas, right? Instead of just being Hot Springs, you want to represent the state of Arkansas, because Arkansas doesn't really have professional sports there. They might have a couple minor league baseball teams. I don't know that for sure. I would imagine they do with Little Rock and Fayetteville and all that stuff. But being able to have a professional football team represent the entire state of Arkansas, it makes sense. Diamonds is a little generic. I get why. Like, it's been used as a team name in multiple sports and multiple leagues in the past, just because of the history of the state. And there's like a natural like diamond mining field in Arkansas, and I think it's the natural state where gyms and stuff are found. So it makes sense. It's a nice little tip of the cap to the state. But to me, I thought the Hot Springs Wise Guys was a more fun, more unique name and a better fit for what the TAL is doing. But it seems like the Arkansas Diamonds is a little bit more of a long-term play to potentially see the team grow into something else and grow into a bigger league potentially down the road. The TAL was able to sell the team from being league owned to local buyers within the Hot Springs and Arkansas market. So I'm sure over the next 3 years or so, we'll see continued efforts to make that franchise grow and go onward from here. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in Arkansas. But if you go back and watch the interview we did with Tim Brown, he alluded to several teams potentially being announced over this off season and heading into 2026. His number was 4. So adding on to the 6 teams that are currently in the TAL, that would make 10 total. Not sure what timeline looks like yet, but I'm working on getting some details, and hopefully we'll be able to announce some of that stuff on the show, and whether maybe not on the show, but maybe on a Turf Tapes or on socials. But yeah, we should be hearing a lot more of that information throughout the month of October. So hopefully we'll be able to share some of that and let you guys know what's going on. But let me know in the comments where you think market-wise, city-wise, the TAL should go from here. They're already in Duluth, Minnesota. They're in Arkansas. They're in Iowa. They're in St. Joseph, Missouri. That's Missouri, right? Yeah. St. Joseph, Missouri. They're in the Ozarks. They're in Springfield, Missouri. They're all over the place, right in the middle, and they have a nice little map for themselves that they've developed in the middle of the U.S. And I would expect them to stay in that pocket going forward. But hey, maybe we see them start to expand it a little bit, make the corridor a little bit wider for the league. But yeah, let me know what cities you think they're going to next. I'm curious to see what you guys think. And that's the show. Thank you so much for checking it out. And thank you again to Marcus Gray for joining the program, talking shop about his arena football career and all the awesome stuff he's been doing off the field with the Indy Dunkers, with the Indiana Pacers Power Pack, his travels with that and all that stuff. So make sure you give him a follow on socials and let him know you heard him on Off the Wall. And just keep up with his journey, because his journey is fascinating and is a really fun one to watch. But while you're on socials, while you're doing all that, please make sure you're following Off the Wall as well. Nope, wrong side. Off the Wall, at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball. We're on Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. Join the conversation as well. Love chopping up with folks and hearing what people have to say and hearing what people have to share. Hot takes, cold takes, warm takes, all the takes. We love them. So make sure you join the conversation. Come say hi. Shoot me a DM. Let's chat. Let's talk. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you again for doing that. Please make sure you're liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and then go check out the most recent episode of the Turf Tapes. Like I said, with Gary Compton, I got to really chop it up with him, and it was a really fun conversation. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure that you're liking the show, rating the show 5 stars on the show page, on like the podcast page, and then sharing it with a friend. Let's try to continue to grow this thing out and see where we can take it. Yeah, we got some cool things we're lining up in addition to the Turf Tapes moving forward. Gonna be working on some of that stuff throughout this weekend. So I'm not gonna announce too much yet, but if things work out the way I think they're gonna work out, it should be a really cool project and some really cool things we got coming down the pike. So I'm excited to share it with everybody. There's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about 55 minutes here watching this, listening to this means a lot. So really appreciate you taking the time to do so. Let's enjoy this off season. Go enjoy some outdoor football, but don't lose that spark for the indoor game, the arena game that we love, the indoor war, all that stuff. There's going to be no shortage of off-season storylines to follow. So make sure you're following us on socials, all of that stuff. Come let me know what you think in the comments, in the comment section of YouTube, comment section of Instagram, replies, all that stuff. Come say hi, and yeah, let's enjoy the rest of this week. Take care. We'll see you next time.